What a weird thought to have to come to peace that I may never see my children A again or B for decades.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Daddy Issues. Our guest today is going to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about his story. This is one of the most important episodes that we've done. Travis has about 14 more days left until his kids completely move to Germany with the mom. He is getting railroaded in court. Nobody's listening to him. Nobody's taking any of his evidence. And hopefully, man, there's somebody out there that can give him some advice, or this podcast can reach somebody who can help him. And really, there's only 14 days left. So if you can, feel free to hit him up. I'll put his information in the description. But check out the episode.
Yeah, I'm ready. Well, my name is Travis. I've been going through a 2-year ordeal. In 2023, I flew my wife. We're going on 17 years of marriage with 4 children. I flew her and the 4 children to Germany in May, and she started not contacting me. And then in July, she said she wanted a divorce. And then she sent me a voicemail that basically said, if you don't give me full custody of the children, I will claim every abuse imaginable, sexual, physical, financial, emotional. Keep in mind the season before I was 2 of my sons' assistant soccer coach, and my oldest daughter, who's now 16, who I haven't seen in 2 years. She begged me to be her volleyball coach. I had not seen my daughter in 2 years, my oldest. Now, my oldest son will come visit. He says that the others bully when he comes to visit me. My oldest daughter has unfortunately taken after what mom has done instead, and has now convinced the other children the same. So that was 2 years ago. I had a lawyer for the first year, and then I ran out of funds, and the choice was pay for a lawyer or pay child support. And I made the very difficult decision to pay for child support. And I'm just blown away. I thought for sure I'm a Christian. I thought for sure our justice system was just. I have since, of course, learned how unjust family law can be, and that I'm not the only one. As I've told you before, I had been wanting to come on your podcast for a long time, but I didn't feel comfortable in coming on because the legal side is still ongoing. However, at this point, I'm pretty desperate. It's pretty obvious what has happened, and I knew from the get-go. The lawyer even admitted it. To get a restraining order, to then have full custody, and then to do a move away to Germany. That was the intent the whole time. I have worked in orphanages all over the world. Many people at church and elsewhere that could attest to me. I help homeless. And if it could happen to me, it could happen to anybody. In the last 10 years, I think the only tickets I've ever gotten are fix-it tickets. And I'm just in an emotional fog of what has happened to me, what can happen. I thought for sure with all the evidence I'd have, it would be pretty obvious. Played the voicemail. I will claim all these abuses and you will be ruined. I played that voicemail twice for the judge. I have thank God, at the time I had the lawyer. I said, lawyer, I require that you ask the judge about the sexual abuse, because that was 6 out of the 10 pages. I have lost many family members and many friends due to that allegation. And of course, I'm sure she is saying now, see, I got the restraining order. So I do have a restraining order. I got the restraining order against you, against him. So he must have been abusive, right? And now July 2nd, now in on the 16th, they can legally move out of the country, legally kidnap my children. So this is a last ditch effort um, to share my story. If anyone has any words of wisdom or advice, of course, prayers are always appreciated.
Yeah, I mean the crazy part too is that a lot of people have those issues in its hearsay, of things that she might have said. The tough part is you have physical evidence of her saying she's going to ruin you, saying all these things, and the system is not working in your favor. And how frustrating that must be, not only losing your kids and all of that, but now you could lose your kids permanently because she's going to move away to Germany, and the court system is just not helping you at all.
I thought for sure going to a court, the judge would see the truth of the matter and would sincerely care about the best interests of the children. I have videos of the children saying, "Dad, I want to stay with you. I don't understand why I can't be with you." I actually, at the beginning, had unprofessional supervised visitation until I took a parenting class. And then it was all supposed to go back to normal. I honestly I'm still not sure how I lost that. I asked the first lawyer, and I didn't realize that until after I'd gotten rid of them. They said, "Sorry, we're not on your case anymore." So it went to unprofessional, supervised. And, you're told that morning, "Hey, this is what's happening. Provide 5 names," or 5 names. And you haven't called them. You haven't done anything. And so all of a sudden you're supposed to provide names. So all that to say, only 1 out of the 5 was actually interested or had the time to help out. The opposing lawyer has been disbarred from the state of California, and he continues accusation. I have found that accusations are free and defense is costly. So after the unprofessional supervisor got kicked off the case, I begged for her to provide other names. She said she doesn't have anyone. I gave a list of 10. She said she didn't know them. Of course, she did know them, since everyone she has admitted to, which then forced me to be in professional supervised visitation at the cost of $300 for every 2 hours. After child support, that's roughly what I make every week. And so the choice is to eat or see my children. My children have no idea how much I've lost. I have her prophecy. She knew exactly what she was doing. I have been completely ruined. The only thing that matters to me is my children, and I will lose. I've already lost everything. I'll continue to lose everything for my children. People have told me I should stop for mental health and emotional. I can't. My children mean everything to me, and I have lost everything. And the craziest thing is they don't know how much I lost. All they know is probably what they're being told is, "See, Dad doesn't love you. See, on Father's Day, you didn't come." And yet I have the app where I begged for her to bring the children. She said, "Sorry, we're busy and I can't bring them." And this is after I filed contempt of court and perjury. I filed perjury and I showed the evidence.
Man, that's what frustrates me the most, is when you bring the evidence to the judge and the court system and nothing's done about it. And especially like contempt, and you have the proof, and then they kind of just like, oh, blow it off. Like, it's so frustrating, man.
I only laugh because it's better than crying.
Right.
The other lawyer said, "Oh, he wasn't under oath, and he's the one that made that statement." So basically, he committed fraud at the court, and then the contempt of court. The judge, on the record, said, "Well, in the name of justice, I'm going to dismiss the contempt of court." Now, of course, she has since done contempt of court again. Didn't bring the children on Father's Day. And, when she goes to Germany, is out of jurisdiction. Of course, I'll never see the children again. That's her intent and her plan.
Now, is that ruled by the courts? Like, is she going into the court saying, "Am I allowed to go to Germany?" or is she just going to Germany?
No, as soon as she got the restraining order, I think the next day or within a week or two, as soon as she got the permanent restraining order, she did the move away. That was the intent. So
yeah,
the restraining order took about a year and some change, because the lawyer all the time, while they're saying I'm hiding all this money, I'm doing all these things, was bleeding me dry financially, making me pay for supervision. And we have no money. We were on Medi-Cal, which is the state funding. I mean, it's just, Craziness. And, and yet she's had a lawyer the whole time. I can't afford one, but she has a lawyer. And I mean, the best part is the judge saying, so I don't find the sexual abuse to be credible, but I believe everything else. And the evidence is Laura cried at the correct time. The judge gave this as a reason. She cried at the right time. And she believed my evidence, and what I stated to not be credible, despite the evidence. And it's just mind blowing to me.
This judge needs to be disbarred immediately.
So this judge, in my motion to recuse herself, I showed the public publications where she said the following: she was abused by her father. She had an abusive father and a troubling childhood. She and I don't have the exact words, but that was the intent, and the words are pretty much there. This is the exact words: pro women, pro family, and pro children. Clearly, she left something out of that: pro fathers. And she enjoys the discretion of the bench. Says the words enjoys. And in my recusal, she said, no, I'm not those things. And so I had the option to appeal. I had like 10 days. And after working 8 to 10 hours a day, getting up at 4:30, I am emotionally spent. I mean, I've worked thousands of hours. I have spent so many paperworks and hours of time.
You're pro se right now.
I'm
right?
pro se, which means I have my own lawyer. I couldn't afford a lawyer. Again, it was either pay child support or pay for a lawyer. And what I realize is when a judge can say she cried at the right times and this is the why, like, what's the point? The reason I'm still fighting for my children is because I know my children, one day I want to be able to look at them in the eye and say, I tried everything. But I also want to say, to be honest, I'm tired of hearing it. I'm tired of hearing, wow, my story's not as hard as yours. I wish mine wasn't that hard. But I know so many other fathers, and there's the meme of be the person to help others, that you wish you had that help. And I'm just blown away that, as one friend said, Travis, you're just a pawn in the judge and the lawyer's story. They're just, one could argue it's abuse, but of course, judges are never seen, or the justice system, as abusive. I'm speechless. I mean, I just, all I want is to see my children. I was their coach, and after disproving 6 out of 10 pages of sexual abuse, I raped her on my wedding night with the accusation, and many times all 4 children. So that one really hurt me. That hit my identity as a human being and as a man. The only time, about 8 months later, my godmother laughed when I shared that, and I said, why are you laughing? In my head, I couldn't comprehend it because I took it so personally. And I realized she laughed because it was so laughable. And that created a little bit of peace, because the truth is, up until this point, I assumed the justice system was just and fair. And I'm sure most people do. And when someone says they have a restraining order against them, like, you're guilty, dude. It's just that simple. So I do not fault anyone for looking at me and assuming I'm guilty. And that the shame and the hurt is beyond. So after working 8 to 12 hour days, then I'm supposed to be doing thousands of hours of paperwork. All I do is eat, sleep, work, and court work. And it has taken a toll. The gruel, the warrior, the grueling amount of time it has taken. There are days where I have nothing left. And I get so upset, because anyone that's been in the legal abyss knows there's another appeal, there's more paperwork, there's more evidence. And I've had to give myself a lot of grace. Go, Travis, you did all you could do.
Yeah. And I mean, I couldn't imagine not seeing my kids either for 2 years. And you would think that the court would find that right as some sort of abuse. You know what I mean? How is this good? How is this positive for the children? Right. It's not at all.
Right. I had 3 of the 4 children at the very beginning. And slowly, one by one, she claimed that they didn't want to come. And now I only have one that shows up, and he says, Dad, they bully me for wanting to see you.
That I mean, that alone should be able to be brought up in court, and the judge look at that. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy that it's not.
I say, son, don't give up. Um, and I try to tell him how much I love him every time. And yeah, the mediator, if I had, you know, it's me against the lawyer. And the amount of betrayal, it's a family member that has been paying for the lawyer. And the amount of betrayal, um, I can't even fathom. Like my brain just can't comprehend what has happened to me. And to think that I'm fighting to see my children, to think about, the mediator actually impeached herself, but I don't have the ability or the time or the resources or the effort to file all that paperwork. If this was somebody else's paperwork that with no emotional attachment, it wouldn't take days and days, but there have been days where I sit there and 3 hours go by and I've done very little because of the amount of either crying or emotional pain that I have to process. And then I'm exhausted. I'm speechless on what has happened to me. And I've actually kept my mouth shut because I don't have words. I'm tired of crying. And I don't even know where to start. This lawyer, the amount of accusations that he just continues to spit out, it would take someone thousands of hours to actually identify, create evidence, and submit against him. Like it's just he one after another lie, and he was disbarred from the state, for 10 years or
Right.
something, and it does it's just mind blowing to me that this is allowed.
Yeah. What district and state are you in? So like maybe there's someone who's listening to this podcast and kind of help you out a little bit because especially you only have till the 16th or
Yeah.
something you said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a weird thought to have to come to peace that I may never see my children again or B for decades. The only thing I can do is say thank God that they're alive and healthy. Uh, yeah. So I'm in Ventura County, California. Um, and it's actually the county is fairly conservative. So I'm blown away by what has happened. But Governor Newsom is the one that appointed this judge. And yeah, I'm speechless.
Yeah. I mean, is there any steps you can take after she brings them to Germany if she goes that route? Is there
She's
steps you
going
can
that
take
route.
for them to come back? Right. Is there like court, yeah, is there steps you can take with the judge to make them come back, or is that it is what it is?
So in my brain, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So when you have someone that's done contempt of court, so when she came back from Germany, after I told her I was filing international kidnapping charges if she didn't fly home, she missed her first flight, took the second one home. She wouldn't stay in the house. Of course, the restraining order, there was nothing against me. I saw the kids once or twice when she would let me. I didn't know my rights. I didn't have a lawyer at the time. So she abandoned. So she finally, when she got her order, she finally moved back in the house about a month after, based off what the children have told me, in other conversations, and then she didn't tell me she moved out. So she abandoned the house for 4 months. I could have been living there rather than homeless, going from place to place. So my point is, when somebody's done contempt of court, they'll be out of California jurisdiction. They've already done contempt of court. I had no idea where they live. How am I supposed to serve them? How am I supposed to do anything? I mean, it's just, it had them on pleading the fifth. They pled the fifth in the courtroom for the move away. And I was praying, here's my chance. Motion to dismiss all of their evidence. After pleading the fifth, motion granted. And then they all changed their mind. The lawyer and the judge said, never mind, so that they could grant it. When I did the motion to recuse herself based off her own words in the court reports and in her final judgment for the move away, since I didn't know I had to ask for a judgment. I thought I did, or I thought it was assumed for the reasoning. She didn't give one. She didn't give a reasoning. I said, aren't you going to tell us in court or won't we, And she said no. And then when she finally gave her written reasoning, she said, this is the order and there is no written reasoning because you didn't request one, because she knows what I would use it for. So, I mean, you can't win. To come to a place where I have to find a peace to never see my children again is a burden that I wouldn't wish on anybody. And what hurts me more than anything is anyone that knows anything about children and parents and fatherhood know how messed up children become without fathers. And, clearly I was very much in my children's lives. They need their father. I mean, it's really that simple. That's why I'm fighting so hard. I've lost everything.
Yeah, man, I couldn't imagine. I mean, I'm so sorry to hear that. And I pray there is somebody listening to this podcast that can help you in a different way that I could help you, legally, or, maybe they know somebody down there. And I mean, you got to get it done fast as well.
Right.
You only have, 2 more weeks. So
Right.
I hope to God there is somebody listening that can, do something and help you out. Because this really is, the worst thing that could happen.
It's very clear why, I knew from the beginning when she said, so she had said, hey, just write me a 3-month thing or 6-month, I can't remember, whatever it was, to stay in Germany. I said, I'll try. Turns out what I didn't know is, until I started talking to an international lawyer, that if I had done that, that would have been enough time for her to have stayed there and seek asylum or residence or whatever. So I couldn't do that. And no, I don't know any of this.
Right. Were you guys still together before you were divorced when she went to Germany the first time and then just didn't come back?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just sadly, it's just, I've learned a lot of, hindsight is 2020 of why she did what she did. And at the end of the day, there was no unfaithfulness. There was no anything. She just decided she didn't want to be in marriage with me anymore, living in California. She could have gotten a job this whole time. She's claimed she's, as soon as she moves to Germany, she'll have a job, but she's claimed she's this innocent housewife that can't get a job here. Again, pay 10 grand or whatever to have whatever, a professional that can say, oh, she could have gotten a job. It's like, it's just, it's hideous. So as soon as she gets there from getting a job, she just didn't want to be married. I was 17 years. She'd been to Germany many times and then proclaimed that I raped her on my wedding night and that all my children, like, it's any normal human would look at that and go, obviously, this is not right. And then they would go, obviously, once that's not right, all the other accusations, especially when I had the proof that it, family law.
And not only do you have the proof, this happens to so many dads. It's different dads, same story.
Right.
Maybe not as extreme as what you're going through, but like the same allegations, the same shit. It's like, how does the court system not? I mean, they obviously know. They obviously, something's going on behind the scenes. But
Correct.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Damn.
Wild is an answer. There's a lot of other descriptive words as well. My biggest thing is day in, day out, guys, we just fight. Our children are worth it. I'm on all these. I think I met you on different single groups, and almost weekly, someone either kills themselves or wants to. And that harsh reality has sunk so deep in my soul of how despicable fathers can be treated. And really, at the end of the day, what I realize is the abused or the victim can be a father or a mother. And usually the one doing the actual abuse is the one that plays all the dirty tricks and does all the games. And the one that's not is the one just trying to tell the truth. So they're not playing all the dirty tricks. And so they're the one that gets taken advantage of, unfortunately. I'm a big shout out to Robert Garza and Anthony Cancel and you, of course, and Mark Christensen and a few others that are fighting, man. And this will probably become my life mission to help as many fathers as I can. Um, I am a boring human being that loves Jesus and loves people. And if it can happen to me, I didn't even set I've never been in a courtroom other than jury duty every so often. And I now have a 2-year law degree. Um, it's just the emotional side of it all
Mm-hmm.
is crazy. I thought for sure if you have evidence, the judge will see right
Right.
through. Nope, doesn't matter. The judge can make her decision based off of she was more credible because she cried at the right times. That's can be the answer.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just mind blowing. Then the judge said that I wish I had the court report in front of me. She said I was loud and argumentative in the courtroom. So she believed that. But then the question is, Your Honor, why was a bailiff never called on me? Why was I never um, admonished in court if I was loud and all these things, right? Um, it's just accusation after accusation, and judges and lawyers know what they're doing. This isn't their first
Yeah.
rodeo. They make their mind up, and the guilty are guilty. The evidence does not matter in family law, and I'm just blown away that we can live in a society. And the thing is it's one human at a time whose life is destroyed, and we're so busy trying to figure out how to survive that it's hard to band together. So I hope and pray one day I can create a banding and a grouping of people that didn't give up, that we can be a source of strength to those that are in the fight. And our children need us, bro. They need us, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's the biggest thing. At the end of the day, this is only hurting the kids, and what family court is all about is, let's do it for the kids, and sending them away to Germany with their mom is not that.
No, and I mean, you know, uh, I went from taking my children or picking them up nearly every day and going to all their sporting events and going to all their class events, and now I haven't seen my oldest daughter in 2 years. I haven't seen my youngest daughter in probably a year and a half or more, and my youngest son in 8+ months. He's 9 years old. He needs a father. He's very confused on life. And then my oldest son I see as often as possible. There was the temp order and then the full restraining order, and the judge in her decision for the move away, instead of asking how often I've seen the children at the beginning, she only asked in the last 8 months or whatever, knowing full well, but I'd only been able to see them a few times because but over the course of the 2 years, the last 6 months, it had only been, once or twice a month, or, a half a dozen times or whatever it is. But it was a lot more before that, right? And keep in mind, I have the records of when I was allowed to make a phone call. Every night I made a phone call. Every single night for 3 or 4 months, I made a phone call. And I showed all the records of when they were ignored. And I would usually get a call 2 or 3 times a week. They would call me back, and the answer was we were busy. Mom had a meeting, whatever. Um, the mediator had sent an email the night before court saying, if you want, I can allow for your son to call you. I didn't see the email, and I didn't even know that email had happened until the next court date, which happened. No, sorry, it was the night before mediation, and she didn't even bring it up in the mediation. So then I found out that would become an option 6 months later. He could have been calling me, and they don't bring it back on the table or anything.
Yeah.
I'm just the best interest of the children, in my opinion, or one could argue it's clearly not the fact. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm sharing my story because if it can happen to me, it can happen to anybody, and we cannot give up. There are so many days. I mean, at the beginning, I worked for 6 hours a day. Now I only cry for two. When people are talking about it, and I've learned just it is what it is. I use that energy to continue working on the paperwork when I'm exhausted. Um, yeah,
Yeah. Well, man, I'm gonna try to push this as hard as I can, and hopefully, I pray somebody is listening to this that can actually, help you out in a way that I obviously can't. down there. So
The fact that you're helping us share stories, the story's not over. It could be 10 years or plus before I see my children again, but I know one day I have a hope that they'll hear. I have all the court records, and unfortunately, I've had to accept that. But our stories aren't over until the very end, so we can't give up. We have to keep fighting.
yeah, 100%. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on and being vulnerable and sharing your story, man. And I know it's hard, and it must be very hard for you. So I appreciate that.
Dude, thank you for your time, bro. Thank you for giving us a mouthpiece to share our story, and maybe I can come back in a year or so and give an update.
Absolutely.
Me down. You can hold me down. You can hold me down. You can hold me down.